To my father, I embraced him in the prison, and then they returned his clothes to me without his body.
Because you weren't able to attend the funeral, were you?
They didn't allow us to attend the funeral. They didn't allow us to see his face. They didn't even allow us to say goodbye to him properly. But he said to me then, ironically, he said to me that, you know, you've suffered a lot, and I know that I've been the one who's always wanted you in politics, but if you want to go and live in London, Paris or Geneva, he even took the word Geneva, if you want to go and live in London, Paris or Geneva, go, because you've already given so much of your own youth and your own happiness to this country. Go till things are better. And I said, no, I will not leave. I'll continue the work that you have started here. And he was so happy. I still remember the face shining and glowing with happiness. He has been the main motivation in my life. With a father gives unconditional love. With no other person have I found unconditional love, whether it's been my mother, whether it's been my brothers, whether it's been my husband. Only with my father and with my children, I have seen unconditional love.
But you did go to London after his death for a bit, and then came back to incredible scenes when you were campaigning for democracy, and the people responded. Tell us what happened when you came back to Lahore, wasn't it, the first time when you came from London? And there was a huge crowd there.
It was very tense because in the Philippines they'd had the assassination of Mr. Aquino as he landed. And we had had several people phoning us and saying, please don't come back because they're going to do the same thing. And I remember we came back with quite a few exiles, and the scenes as they bent down to kiss the soil of the land, and it was very moving. And then we went outside, and there was this huge crowd, and I had to climb a ladder to get into a truck. And once I got into the truck, all I could see was people. It was the most amazing sight in my life. There were people everywhere, and it took us about 14, 15 hours to go by truck.
How old were you at that time?
It was 1986. So how old would I be? About 12 years younger? About 30? My mathematics is not very good. I was born in 1953, so.
But not an experienced political speaker. I mean, you had to then address hundreds of thousands of people.
Yes, I had to address hundreds of thousands of people, and I didn't know what I would do. So I asked Mr. Tariq Ali, the leftist student who had been at Oxford too. I said, will you help me draft my speech? And he did. And so we sat down together over the speech with words in Urdu and words in English and lots of underlining. And I was so scared I was going to lose the speech.
Because your Urdu wasn't that good at that stage?
No, well, by that stage, my Urdu had vastly improved. But when I was studying in Pakistan, we had Urdu, then we dropped Urdu, then we had Urdu, and there was this big debate over English and Urdu. So, and then I was away. So I came back, and it was very faulty. And the first thing my father said is, you're going to have to learn Urdu. And he got me an Urdu teacher, and he sat me down at the dining table, and he'd visit every evening himself to say, how's she doing?
We've talked about your father. Tell me about other members of your family, because you've also lost your brothers.
Yes.
The first, you think he was poisoned, I think, do you not? He was in the south of France, and you were there at the same time. Tell us what happened.
I'd come from London, and Shah had come to the airport in France, and I remember he was wearing white trousers and a white shirt, and he had brown tan, and he was laughing, and he was a very handsome man. When I used to go to the hotel with him in Cannes, ladies would send their numbers over. I'd walk on the street, and they'd turn their heads to stare and look at him. He was that sort of man. He was very, very attractive and full of life and energy. And he had arranged a barbecue in my honor. So we all had the barbecue, and we went back to a flat that Mummy had taken. We had a night. My sister-in-law kept saying something dreadful is going to happen tonight. And I said, no, what's going to happen tonight? I was so happy at being there, and I said, nothing's going to happen. And then the next morning, his wife arrived, fully made up, and said, I think Shah's dead. My brother dashed out, and we were ringing up the phone on the ambulance and the police and trying to get medical help. And then we went there, and in that same room where we had been, he was lying on the floor, stone cold dead.
Tell us about your second brother, Murtaza, because he died when you were Prime Minister.
Yes, that's
a couple of years ago, shot here in Karachi.
My enemy shot him down, triggered a fight that led to his unfortunate and tragic end.
But at the end of this, you've got yourself into a situation where your husband is in jail, your two brothers murdered, your father hung, you must feel incredibly isolated.
They say that it's lonely at top, and it is lonely in the top, because you know, all day I have people with me, all day I'm working, but at the end of the day, it's a big house and I'm all alone. The children are in Dubai, the husband is in prison, and ultimately it is lonely at the top. And you know, I never wanted to come into politics, and I don't want to be in politics, but somehow I've never been able to complete my term and say goodbye. I've never been left alone that I could build a transitional team and then say somebody's taking over. And each time there has been a catastrophe, either martial law, bankruptcy under Nawaz I, bankruptcy and the threat of war under Nawaz II. And I have this constant battle where people say, we need you, you can't go. And I don't know what to do, because
I mean, you must balance this out though. What about your family? Your children are away in Dubai, you hardly ever see them. I mean, don't you regret this?
Yes, I regret it. I regret it. I was in Dubai with my children. I took them shopping. I took them to Toys R Us. I took them to the restaurants. I took them to the beach. I took them for boat rides. I had a marvelous time. It was an ordinary life, and it was marvelous.
But you could have this. All you have to do is go to Dubai, and you could be with your children.
What do I say to all the people who believe in me? What do I say to all those in my constituency? That I'm leaving you to the wolves?
Your electorate is more important than your children?
No, my children are more important to me, but my electorate, I have an obligation and a duty to my electorate and to my party. I would not like to let down my children, and I wouldn't like to let down my electorate and my party workers. I'd like to find a way where I could accommodate both. I'd love to be out of government and at the same time helping my party. But I can't dump my party. And believe me, I've had people weep that if you go, who will we have? And I just feel that abandoning people at a time of insecurity would be morally wrong. If there was security for people at large, if there was peace, if there wasn't, now things are even worse with the threat of the repercussions of the nuclear blast. People are insecure in this country, and the one...
I mean, it's difficult to believe, though, that there isn't in all of this a slight desire on your part to get back to power, to enjoy the trappings of power that you've had before. I mean, it can't be all quite as selfless as you're making out, can it?
Owen, I have never wanted the trappings of power. And anyway, when you get to my position in life, you have that trapping. Whether you are in power or you're not in power. Ever since I was a little child, I was Zulfikar Ali Bhutto's daughter. People always followed me. I always got special attention. And that's why when I say I don't want to be Prime Minister, I really don't. And I wish that when the time comes, I can persuade my party. But if they insist that they need me, I can't just walk away either. There is no attraction and power for me. I've been there, not twice, thrice. I don't want to pay this price again. It happened each time, 3 times. My father jailed, husband jailed, again husband jailed. Media, campaigns, slander, mudslinging. I don't want it.
Let's go back to a time when it was all much more innocent, when you were a young girl and on your way to America. You went to school in the States young.
Yes, I was 16, Sweet 16, I remember. In those days there was a song called Sweet 16.
Difficult? You were a privileged woman. You'd had a lot of luxury in Pakistan. You came to America, I guess you were just like any other school child there. How was it?
It was marvelous because I got freedom. I stood on my own feet. I didn't know I could do it. I had to make my bed. I had to keep my own room clean. I had to take my laundry down. I'd never done a laundry. I had to do my own ironing. It was the best thing that could have happened to me. It taught me to be self-reliant. And to a great extent, I am what I am today because of that early experience at Harvard and then subsequently at Oxford. Oxford gave me a sense of perseverance and of staying calm in the face of a crisis.
Why was that? Because, I mean, you were a student at Oxford, but how could it teach you to stay calm in a crisis? There were no crises when you were at Oxford.
There were. We had 2 tutorials a week. And in between the partying and the punting on the river and the strawberries and the cream, that was our crisis then, being in time for your tutorial.
Facing an angry Oxford
and then,
Don.
Oh yes, I faced many an angry Oxford. Once I got locked out of my dormitory It was raining and pouring. Luckily, my father had given me a car. So I found a place in a hotel and wrote my tutorial all night and walked in, bedraggled, and my tutor, instead of saying, "Why are you bedraggled?" said, "Why are you 5 minutes late?"
Bedraggled and maybe in jeans and a t-shirt?
No, an Anna Belinda dress.
Anna Belinda. Well, it's all very different now, isn't it, with the scarf and so on. Is that a deliberate change of image? Is that a political gesture? Why is it?
Well, I feel that democracy is universal, not Western. And if I'm talking about democracy and equal rights for women and protection for minorities, I don't want the people to think that these are Western notions. So I'm saying, here I am, I'm a Pakistani like you. I wear the scarf as you do. And the values that I'm talking about aren't alien values. They're important to you and to me and to Pakistan.
Do you think it's over now, your political career? You've got these corruption charges to deal with. You've got declining popularity. Do you think do you think a third term is possible?
I think a third term is very possible. I think it's there for the asking. I think I can throw Nawaz out tomorrow if I decide to lead a long march onto Islamabad. I think the people are fed up of him. They've always been with him. I think that the last elections were held under a prejudiced president and a prejudiced caretaker regime to deny me my electoral victory. I think the ballot boxes were taken away for 12 hours to Islamabad to tamper with the results. No rigging during the day. After the conclusion of the vote, all the rigging took place. I think I won those last elections. And if tomorrow there's a fair elections, I'm going to win it.
For all what you say you've done, when people look back over the period of democracy in Pakistan, they feel that there have been no results, and you're part of that.
No, I think people feel that Pakistan has gained a lot. Yes, economically we are in a mess because the intelligence agencies haven't stopped kicking us about. But we've gained a lot because of the last 10 years. In the last 10 years, I changed Pakistan. With telephones, which you couldn't have telephones before. Fax machines, digital pages, cellular telephones, privatization, local investment banks, a whole new entrepreneurial class grew up. This is not the same Pakistan. We eliminated polio, we combated illiteracy. I got a gold medal from the World Health Organization for what we did in the field of health. I brought down population from 3.1% to 2.6%. And I challenge anybody to say that doing something like this is not a substantive progress for Pakistan. But what has happened is that whenever we are in government, we are booted out and biased elections under biased caretakers is brought in.
Let me put to you a point which a lot of people here have made to me, which is that they're disappointed by you because they say that you were young, you were idealistic, and you had a great chance. You came in with a mandate and you could have done something substantial. And a lot of people have said to me, we're disappointed, she failed, she didn't do it, and that all these charges now against you.
I'm sorry such people are disappointed. I think many of them have been taken in by the slander machine. But I do feel that I affected the lives of the people of Pakistan in a way that no other prime minister in the last decade has done. Every village that today has electricity, that today has gas, a primary school, health, they'll vote for me tomorrow without thinking twice.
Well, Benazir Bhutto, thanks very much for talking to us on Hard Talk.
Thank you.